everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Gilbert Cedillo. I am the chair of the Housing Committee. This is room 1010, April 25th, 2018. It's 3 p.m. plus, and we're going to go forward. This is a very special meeting. Is translation working? ¿Todos? ¿Tiene su máquina y todo? ¿Sí? Ah, qué bien, qué bien. Bueno, gracias. Yeah. Please do.
I owe you dinner.
Please do. Bueno, todo está aquí listo para empezar con la reunión. Hoy esta reunión es muy importante. Nosotros queremos oír todos los inquilinos. Y también después, también tenemos otra reunión súper importante, también muy controversial. Y por eso voy a dar un límite de la presentación, solo a 1 minuto de cada presentación, afuera de la presentación del grupo de que va a presentar la Día de los Inquilinos. So, look, we've got a very tight agenda, very tight schedule. So we're going to limit public comment to 1 minute. We are obviously going to hear from those who are making the presentation on Inquilinos or on Renters Day. And then we have, after that, we have another meeting that's very important, certain, time sensitive, that we have to do as well, related to home sharing, Airbnb, and all the issues related to that. So we want to go forward with the public comment. And let me begin by calling up Antonio Ramirez, and Ms. McAllister, you might as well join her up here as well.
Thank you very much. God bless our American democracy. As long as we keep buying homeboy industry food and articles, we will continue to have a housing crisis for middle-class, legal law-abiding American citizens and our beloved United States military veterans. Stop rewarding and promoting this wicked, diabolical criminal enterprise full of Chango Latino gangbangers and wetbacks who are pigs, pussies, thieves, and losers. Caveat, they will spike your food with caca and mocos. As a result, we have a Latino Chango gang epidemic, and thus our unethical, corrupted, pandering pussies, Eric Garcetti and Jerry Brown et al. Have unlawfully subsidized these nasty, filthy, venomously nosy, jealous, uncivilized savages into beautiful homes and consequently turned homes, neighborhoods, and communities and cities with graffiti, vandalism, theft, destruction to property, created a dangerous breeding ground of gang and Chango violence, homicide, child pornography, child human trafficking, weapons, home invasion, robberies. That's on topic. Grand theft out. That's why we're homeless. God bless America. Deport these goddamn gangbangers. God bless America.
Ms. McAllister, I know you will be on topic.
In economics, it's called supply and demand. The reason we have a rent increase and a supply, not enough housing is because of the demand. So when the demand is high and the supply is low, it goes up, prices goes up. All of these illegal aliens that were smuggled into this country by you Democrats, they have put people on the street. People are homeless because of these illegal aliens. The legal aliens have the housing. Now Americans, they want the bed and breakfast so they can help people have a place to stay. You want to take that from them and satisfy the illegal aliens. This is what we're going to do in this country. We're going to get these illegal aliens out of affordable housing, out of Section 8 housing. We're going to send them back to their country, and they can go there and rally and do everything they want to do. But we're going to get these illegal aliens out of this country. We're going to start with the wall. If they don't want to leave, we're going to put them in concentration camps, 4 or 5 years, then deport their aliens. I bet they won't come back then.
Antonio, please. Now I'm going to the regular list. Are we doing the regular list or are we doing the presentation?
Since we have to clear this jump into the presentation, we'll just go through the agenda. We'll go through the consent items.
Okay, we're going to go through consent items 1 through 12.
Mr. Chair, I'll read those into the record. Is the mic on? Item number 1 is report from the Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 5875 South Estrella Avenue from the rent escrow account program. This is case number 594136. Item number 2 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 1118 Electric Avenue. This is case number 13242. Item number 3 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department relative to removing the property located at 440 West 10th Street. This is case number 606390. Item number 4 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department relative to removing the property located at 2519 East Lancaster Avenue, case number 579934. Item number 5 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department relative to removing the property located at 6422 North Mammoth Avenue from the REAP. It's case number 382820. Item number 6 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 520 West 20th Street from the REAP. This is case number 593357.
Things I do for
Item number 7 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 1121 South Center Street from REAP. This is case number 606710. Item number 8 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 10773 West Palms Avenue from REAP. This is case number 601928. Item number 9 is report from Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 904 West 84th Street from REAP. This is case number 417558. Item number 10 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 730 West 2nd Street from REAP. This is case number 618108. Item number 11 is report from Housing and Community Investment Department report and resolution relative to removing the property located at 3417 South 4th Avenue from REAP. This is case number 271740. And item number 12 is report from the Housing and Community Investment Department and resolution relative to removing the property located at 2000 South Orange Avenue from REAP. This is case number 590532.
Well stated. We have a motion to adopt the HCID report, consent items.
You get a second?
Second. Okay, so be the order. Now items 13 through 13, 14, and 15.
Mr. Chair, would you like to take those items on consent, or would you like to hear the items?
On consent, please.
On consent? Okay, so item number 13 is motion Krikorian Englander relative to extending the term of the negotiating period under the exclusive negotiation agreement with Homes for Families in connection with the transfer of property located at 5623 5633 Elmer Avenue. Item number 14 is motion Harris Dawson Cedillo relative to relocation assistance for the tenants located at 7715 South Crenshaw Boulevard and related matters. Item number 15 is motion Bonin Weezar Correct Cedillo relative to the impacts of AB 1505 on the city's ability to adopt or implement inclusionary zoning and the potential inclusionary housing ordinance and related matters.
Motion to adopt the recommendation. Second. So be the order.
And item number 16
Yes.
is discussion item, Renters Day Coalition. Presentation by Renters Day Coalition. Item number 16. So there's a comment part on item 14, right?
Call that up, back up. Yes, I know Weiss, item 14, you wanted to make a comment? Well, go ahead. We're, moving along there, but you're going to persuade us, so go ahead.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Councilman. It's too bad Mr. Krikorian isn't here. This is an important issue, and I want to basically congratulate Councilman Harris Dawson on this, although it was prompted by housing. But the point that I want to make for the record for people listening is that there are a lot of substandard tenancies in this city. This motion provides for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to advance the tenant relocation fees. The City Council, Housing, Planning have not been diligent in putting forth competent, decent, thoughtful, thorough tenant relocation packages, which should be a condition preceding to the approval of any land use entitlement. And we shouldn't have to necessarily go through this on a piecemeal basis. And I'm kind of hoping to tweak the committee and to tweak the powers that be to mandate that before any tract map or land use entitlement is approved, that basically the tenants be taken care of so that we don't necessarily have to go through this every time. And to the extent that it's necessary to have the Affordable Housing Trust Fund advance the money, as is being done here by Councilman Harris Dawson, please consider doing that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. The order remains.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, so is the committee approving item 14? Just for the record. Thank you, sir.
Item 13, 14, and 15 were all moved and were all adopted.
Okay. Next item.
And item number 16 is discussion item, Renters Day Coalition presentation.
Great. Renters Day Coalition, please come to the table. Antonia, please. There's limits, and you're going to be asked. You're going to be out the door if you don't stop. I'm giving you a warning right now. That's one warning. I'm going to give you your last warning. Please.
Good afternoon, Housing Committee members. My name is Steve Diaz, and I am with the Los Angeles Community Action Network, a part of the Renters Day LA Coalition. Today we're going to be talking about specifically the issue of rent burden and how the crisis of rent burden is impacting Angelenos. Just to give you a quick overview or just some background on Renters Day, 4 years ago, tenants, tenant rights organizers, housing advocates, and different tenant organizations joined the struggle to call for the need of basic housing in Los Angeles and created Renters Day to honor the struggle of tenants. Since then, we made progress on quality repairs, a rent registry, and these victories would only have been possible if it wouldn't have been for the tireless work of tenant leaders and organizers from across the city. This year, we want to reignite the conversation, urging folks to take a stance on rent burden in Los Angeles. Some of the organizations are here today. Just real quick to name them out: Inclusionary Unidos, East LA Community Corporation, SAGE, Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, Power, People Organized for Westside Renewal, Thai Community Development Corporation, ACTA LA, ACE, Works, and LA CAN.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I also forgot the LA Tenants Union.
My name is Celida B. Miramontes, and I'm an attorney at the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles. We provide legal services for eligible low-income residents in the greater LA area. Some of the areas of service that we provide are eviction defense and other matters related to housing. And I'm here to talk about what it means to be rent burdened in the city of Los Angeles. As committee members may already know, the federal government defines rent-burdened households as those who pay more than 30% of their income for housing. This often makes it difficult for families to meet their basic needs, such as buying food, clothes, transportation, and medical care. At our office, what we are encountering more and more are what are termed severely rent-burdened families. Now, these are families that are spending more than 50% of their income on housing. And this is not surprising, given that the fastest growth sector in LA County, in the LA County economy, is low-wage jobs. Since 1990, there's been a 15% increase in low-wage jobs, and correspondingly a 27% loss in middle-class jobs. So what we have is a very fast-growing, very low-income sector. We are dealing with a crisis here. Los Angeles is a city of renters, and it's a city of very rent-burdened renters. 62% of the city's renters are rent-burdened, and the brunt of this burden is being carried by the very low-income residents. Almost 8 out of 10 households in this demographic are considered severely rent-burdened. As an example, if we look at the Broadway Manchester neighborhood in South LA, which is a low-income neighborhood and is very close to my office, which is located in South LA on Broadway, there, 74% of the households are rent-burdened. The mean household income is around $28,000. There's a 14% unemployment rate. The average rent is about $1,100. That means that over the course of a year, these households are spending almost $14,000. That's half of their income on rent. But the rent burden crisis is affecting renters throughout the greater LA area. Even when we look at relatively middle-class neighborhoods, such as in Northridge, where it's considered to be an economically thriving community, there 61% of the population is rent burdened. There, the median household income is almost $62,000 a year. The unemployment rate is about 8%, but the average rent is about $1,500, which adds up over the course of a year to about $18,000, fully 1/3 of their income. So what we are faced with is the following. Right now, today, the median apartment rent in the city of Los Angeles is almost $2,500. So we have skyrocketing rents while wages are remaining stagnant or even decreasing in some areas. It is projected that rents will increase by $136 per month over the next 2 years. So what we're looking at in 2020 is rents fastly approaching $3,000 a month. And when you combine that with the loss of affordable housing, approximately 20,000 rent control units having been lost since 2001, this is a crisis. And you cannot talk about the homeless epidemic that we're dealing with without talking about the rent burden crisis. The two problems are inextricably linked. In 2017, there were almost 48,000 unlawful detainer lawsuits filed in Los Angeles Superior Court. Okay, that's vastly approaching 50,000. And the vast majority of these unlawful detainers or eviction cases were for non-payment of rent. The reason that we know this is because LAFLA, along with other legal aid organizations in the area, run what's called the Shriver Housing Project. Through this project, we provide legal help to low-income tenants with eviction cases. But the sad reality is that LAFLA and the other legal aid organizations are only able to assist a tiny percentage of tenants facing eviction. And usually those are the tenants that actually have some sort of defense. And being rent burdened or unable to pay your rent is not a defense in an unlawful detainer case. For those tenants who are not represented in their unlawful detainer cases, 90% lose. That means that they end up evicted. And this is brought to light in a survey by the LA Homeless Service Authority in 2016. 14% of homeless residents stated that eviction or foreclosure was the direct cause of their homelessness. It is undeniable that rent-burdened tenants are becoming homeless. It may not be happening to all of them, but a great number of them are. And it is no coincidence that in 2017, the homeless population in Los Angeles grew by 23%.
You heard a little bit about the crisis. Let's talk a little bit about how the crisis manifests itself through policies. The crisis regarding the rent stabilization ordinance, every year as it currently stands, the RSO has a floor set rent increase every year, regardless of how the economy is doing. That's a 3% windfall for landlords every year. Additionally, there's a 1% for electricity and a 1% for gas if those utilities are paid by the landlord. That's giving them an additional 5% increase, which has been shown to have no economic connection to the actual cost. Tenants also pay yearly registration fees, yearly SCED fees, and some tenants actually are about to start paying or have started paying for seismic upgrades to the building as well. Another form of the crisis, the Costa Hawkins Act, which brought to, a bill died in the California legislature and is now being taken to the ballot by tenants and tenant leaders across the state, ensures a couple of things. It allows for vacancy decontrol, which means rents can be raised to market rate once a tenant moves out. It doesn't allow for cities to pass rent control laws after that had a enactment date of before the Costa Hawkins Act was passed, and it doesn't allow for renter protections on single-family homes. The crisis, another form of way that it's being sort of elevated, the Ellis Act. Enough has been said. I also just want to quickly shout out the Los Angeles Tenant Union and Eden for really bringing the Ellis Act issue to attention and to the forefront of political discussion in LA, as well as ACE for bringing the Costa Hawkins Act and its discussion to the need. The Ellis Act has been a tool for corporate landlords. Between 2001 and 2018, we lost over 23,000 units of RSO housing just to Ellis Act conversions. Lastly, since we know Council District 8 is a member of this committee, we want to give an example of Council District 8 and sort of rent burden in that district. In the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw neighborhood, there's a total population of 9,172 renters. Out of that, 6,205 of them are rent burden. And this data actually comes from USC. So as people say, if it comes from a rich academic place, you can trust it. Council District 13.
I didn't say that.
I said people, not everybody. So just real quick, Council District 13, the Burlington Unidos Tenants Association. 200 families who are non-rent control and have faced rent increases of 30 to 50%. Slum housing conditions. This is also one of the largest rent strikes. They're currently on rent strike and is one of the largest rent strikes in the city, trying to negotiate for truly fair rents in this time of economic need. Hot waters being turned off daily, broken elevators, senior citizens forced to climb to the top on a weekly basis. 90 children from Burlington Unidos are fighting to stay in their community and remain at Union Elementary School. An example from Council District 13.
So next we're going to talk a bit about a response. Surveys and polls continue to show that housing costs are a top concern of LA residents. A recent poll by FM3 found that 80% of voters surveyed found the cost of their rent very or extremely concerning. Tenant groups and housing advocates are seeking solutions at the ballot box, and this year we have a number of measures, including rent control measures, expected on the ballot in LA County and at the state level. One recent process our coalition was involved in was the creation of LA's first plan to affirmatively further fair housing. We saw input and engagement from dozens of organizations to create the plan. The result was a plan to address the historic segregation and inequities that has led to pronounced racial disparities and disparities among all protected classes. Regardless of what is currently happening at HUD with the AFFH, we want to see the city stay committed to this plan. Organizations are organizing eviction defense, tenant education, and tenant clinics, but these tenant-facing solutions need resources. Only 13% of renters facing eviction had access to counsel in 2017. The city should consider an eviction defense fund so more renters have access to counsel. This strategy was actually in the AFFH that's already been approved by council. As the city is updating its 35 community plans, we should ensure that affordable housing and tenant protections are part of these updates. The South and Southeast LA plans are a model that all the updates should follow. The next issue is one of the key ballot measures currently moving forward, as Steve mentioned, is Costa Hawkins repeal at the state level. The Affordable Housing Act of 2018, the upcoming ballot measure voters will be asked to support in November, will repeal Costa Hawkins. Over 580,000 petitions were collected by the people to ensure this measure could be placed on the ballot. The campaign's endorsed by over 100 community groups, unions, and faith groups across the state. Renters Day LA requests that LA City Council support the Affordable Housing Act. Our next series of recommendations regarding affordable housing production. According to the most recent Regional Housing Needs Assessment, the City of LA has only produced 12% of its goal for low and very low income housing. We need to produce more than 28,000 units for low and very low income families over the next 3 years to meet the current goal. In contrast, we've far exceeded the above moderate income housing goal.
Excuse me, can you repeat the number, please?
Talk closer to the mic, too.
Sure.
And repeat what you just said so you can write.
Only 8% of units in the city are subsidized for low-wage earners, but over 700,000 households are below 80% AMI. To meet the growing need, production-focused solutions will require additional subsidies in addition to a series of other solutions. And I want to lift up some of the solutions in the AFFH Fair Housing Plan that was just recently adopted by Council.
Excuse me, could you give me the number you stated earlier? I think it was 23,000.
28,000 units for low and low income. That's the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. So some of the solutions from the AFFH Fair Housing Plan was, 1, identify city-owned land for affordable housing, specifically in areas of opportunity. 2, streamline affordable housing to reduce costs and shorten timelines for nonprofit developers. 3, enact inclusionary zoning in order to create mixed income units. The city supported AB 1505, which passed last summer, freeing us up to establish this important policy in LA. The Coalition for Just LA is recommending linkage fee expenditure plan, prioritize homes for families making below 60% of the area median income, especially extremely low income families where the greatest need for units lies right now. And we urge prioritization of permanent solutions with the linkage fee expenditure plan, such as solutions that lead to tenant ownership. Also, I want to point out that our coalition, ACT LA, that I work with, has been working on a transit-oriented community policy at Metro. Once this is adopted, and we expect it to be adopted in June, Measure M local return dollars will be clearly available for affordable housing solutions near transit. And we urge that housing solutions, particularly affordable housing preservation strategies, be one of the uses of that Measure M local return. Preservation strategies. So we know we can't produce our way out of this. We've been losing more affordable units than we've been producing. With over 20,000 RSO units lost to Ellis evictions, we must address Ellis. While this is a state law, there are a variety of steps council can take today. City council can restrict demolitions. We can incentivize building on vacant lots and de-incentivize building on lots where RSO buildings are present. Enact no net loss policies. We can support AB 2364, which extends notice for all Ellis evictions, and also push for state legislation to eliminate the Ellis Act. City Council can direct the Housing and Community Investment Department to prepare a comprehensive analysis on the relationship between increasing rents, rent burden, and all allowable rent increases, including pass-throughs to tenants allowed under the RSO. We urge action to eliminate the annual 3% rent increase. We know that most people's wages are not keeping up with rent increases. We should tie annual rent increases under the RSO directly to the Consumer Price Index. Relatedly, we urge elimination of the additional annual 2% utility rent increase for master meter buildings. Renters simply cannot keep up with these rent increases as wages are going down across low-wage industries, not up. In closing, while we've talked about a lot of policies and statistics, what this conversation comes down to is the lives and futures of LA's majority, who are renters. Renters Day LA wants to make LA work for renters. Thanks for considering these recommendations, and we invite your thoughts on how we can work together to address rent burden.
So they're going to be good with this? Thank you for your presentations, and right. Any comments, right? No. So thank you for your presentation, your comments. We look forward to an ongoing dialogue. I know there's a long list of those who would like to be involved in public comment. I would ask that their representatives, their organizational representatives, if they're available, would come and speak on behalf of them. It would help us in terms of managing the time in the next meeting that we have. Okay? Can we have the representatives of the various organizations that are going to come up and speak on behalf of the tenants that are here today? Hay representantes de los varios grupos que quieren hablar por los grupos. Incluye todos los representantes, incluye todos los grupos que están aquí. Elena, you're going to speak on behalf of the Tenants Union?
Not on behalf of the Tenants Union, but I represent Burlington.
Okay, fine.
My name's Elena Pop. I'm the Executive Director of the Eviction Defense Network. We are an access to justice organization that represents tenants in evictions. We do not turn away any tenant that seeks our help in the downtown court. We used to be able to say that we don't turn away any tenant in the entire county. However, we've had to cut back a little bit on services because of the way the court is restructuring. All we need is a subsidy of $50 per case so we can provide representation for every single tenant. For more information, hashtag on every fridge. We are, from May of 2016 until February of 2017, the tenants at Marmion Royale in Councilmember Cedillo's district fought a valiant battle, non-rent-controlled tenants, and they lost that battle. Right now, the tenants at Burlington, Exposition, and 15 other buildings are fighting those same battles. Those tenants should not have to be fighting those battles. We need rent control, and in order to get rent control, this council needs to support the Affordable Housing Act. We had a press conference the day before yesterday, or was it yesterday, all the days melt, and there was only one council member there. We need you all to endorse, and I will follow up on that request. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You do?
I said thank you.
¿Quién sigue?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You say it first.
Mi nombre es Imelda Álvarez y soy residente de Boyle Heights y estoy representando la organización ILAC. Estoy aquí el día de hoy para pedir que nos unamos al concejal Bowen y al señor Garcetti, al señor alcalde Garcetti, para apoyar la ley de vivienda asequible. Pues es una, ¿cómo se dice? Estoy hablando español, no sé si voy a tener intérprete.
¿Necesitas las?
No sé si necesitamos traducción o... Ok. El día de hoy estoy aquí para pedir que nos unamos al concejal Boni y al alcalde Garcetti para apoyar la ley.
Yeah, so I'm here so that we unite and we join Representative Bonin and Mayor Garcetti.
Para apoyar la ley de vivienda asequible.
To support the affordable housing.
Pues una reducción en la renta haría posible que personas sigamos viviendo adentro de nuestra casa.
Bro, the time's up.
Because rent relief is going to be, it's important for us to stay in our homes.
Okay. Thank you. Next.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Fanny Ortiz, and I'm a member of ELAC, and I'm here with Renters Day Coalition. I am a renter, and I live in Boyle Heights, and rising rents is an issue for me because as a single mother of 5 with my youngest with special needs, I have to hold 2 to 3 jobs to be able to sustain my home. And that is a sacrifice because I'm taking away quality time from spending it with my family. It means that when I don't have 2 or 3 jobs, I have to make the decisions whether I pay the bill for Wi-Fi or just completely cut it off, and whether I eat or pay the rent to continue sustaining my home. If rents continue to go up throughout LA, that means that I don't have access to renting somewhere else. If I get evicted, I will not have the opportunity to rent somewhere else, meaning I'll be homeless like I was before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Georgette Sharp. Corporate and Wall Street landlords are conducting rental business as a group of individual monopolies. Group monopolies are called oligopolies when they act in concert with one another. As you well know, monopoly oligopolies set and control price. Corporate and Wall Street landlord monopoly oligopolies have created this enormous surge in rental costs at a rate that is unfairly maximizing their profits at an alarming rate. Frankly, I thought monopolies were not legal to operate because they offer no opportunity for competition to bring rental costs down. So what is being done to rid our state of monopoly oligopoly landlord power for rent control? Thank you.
Hi, my name is King Chung. I'm a volunteer with the Chinatown Community for Equitable Development. In the last 2-3 months, in Chinatown, I personally saw that 4 apartment buildings, which are not rent control, have the rent raised from 30 to 70%. And moving in are the people that are young hipsters, the driving Beamers, and they're willing to pay $2,000-3,000 for rent, which the working people in Chinatown cannot afford. So where it's going, pretty soon, we won't see any working class Chinese in Chinatown, or any working class Latinas, or other Asians. So I urge the city to support the repeal of Costa Hawkins. City rent control only protect buildings that are up to 1978. That's old. That's older than me. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Angelina Jiménez, miembro de ACE.
Good afternoon, my name is Angelina Jiménez, ACE member.
Soy dueña de casa y estoy aquí para apoyar al inquilino, porque ellos se merecen vivir con respeto y dignidad.
I'm a homeowner. I'm here to support the tenants because the tenants deserve to live with dignity and respect.
Les pido por favor que nos ayuden a parar los abusos en contra de ellos en el aumento de las rentas y las malas condiciones de casas y apartamentos.
I ask you for a favor, help us to stop the abuses and the increasing in rent and the bad condition for them.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Muy buenas tardes, mi nombre es Aminta Ábalos y vengo de ACES.
Her name is Aminta Avalos. She's here with ACE.
Y soy de la coalición del Día del Inquilino. Soy un inquilino más y vivo en Huntington Park.
She is a tenant from Huntington Park. She's here with the other tenants.
Mi problema es que yo pagaba $1,000 de renta y hace un año a mí me aumentaron 125. Y ahora en abril me aumentaron 250. Yo con esfuerzo y sacrificio.
Her rent was originally $1,000. It got raised $125, and on top of that, it was raised $250 more.
Con esfuerzo y sacrificio yo pagaba 1,125. No me alcanzaba para comer. Y ahora con los 250 que me han aumentado, que voy a pagar 1,375, que primero mes de abril me tocó pagarlos. No tengo para pagar más. Y mi temor es que me echen a la calle a mí y a mi hija. Soy una persona de muy bajo recurso y todos los que vivimos ahí en los apartamentos somos gente de bajos recursos. Y los apartamentos están en malas condiciones.
Gracias.
So it's with sacrifice that she was able to pay that $125 increase. She wasn't able to eat, and she just had to pay that extra $250 as well, and she doesn't know how she can keep on doing it. She's afraid that she's going to be thrown out in the streets along with her daughter, and she really needs that relief.
Y pido la ayuda de ustedes para que nos ayuden, para que haya un control de renta
Sí.
para todos nosotros.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Yes.
Cool. Hello, my name is Ariana Alcaraz. I'm an organizer with the Los Angeles Community Action Network. Been working with tenants in downtown Los Angeles. Been seeing a lot of folks getting pushed out of their units for two reasons. One is the rent is too damn high. I wanted to share Lydia's story, who couldn't be here with us today, but she lives in a residential hotel. Her landlord knows that she makes $600 a month as her income, and has raised her rent recently to a little over $500. So that just gives you an idea. A lot of folks in downtown are also seniors on SSI, right? SSI, you get about $910 a month. People are paying over 70% of their income just on rent. Another huge reason that we're seeing people being displaced is because of gentrification, and as it circles in on Skid Row, residential hotels and the private owners of these residential hotels are harassing tenants and pushing them out. I have Daniel Flores, who's going to share a story of what he is going through right now at the Drake Hotel.
Buenas tardes, yo soy Daniel Flores. A mí me aumentaron la renta del mes de julio para acá. Y ahora no fue todo eso, me mandaron una cuenta que le debía 1,380 y que de ahora no me quisieron agarrar la renta, que desalojar el cuarto. Eso es todo lo que hay por ahorita.
Thank you. Gracias.
I'm also going to share just a little too.
Your
So
time is up.
not only are they doing that, but they are also setting people up to be evicted. They're not taking people's rents, and that is how they can come the next month and say that you didn't pay your rent, and so therefore we can evict you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a limited time. We've got one more item, and then we have another meeting that has to start. I want to advise you of that, please.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Vicente Martinez y vivo en Wesley, MacArthur Park, donde usted es el concejal.
Good afternoon, my name is Vicente Martinez. I live in the area when you are the council.
Y yo estoy viendo ahí la necesidad que hay de los inquilinos que están desalojando para hacer nuevos edificios.
And I see the demand in the area when, evicted the tenants to build new buildings.
Y a mí eso no se me hace justo que hagan nuevos edificios y nosotros no podamos pagar la renta que van a poner, y por eso es que estoy aquí.
So it's not just new people came and increased the rent and we cannot live in there. That's why I'm here.
Y pido por favor que se unan a los miembros, al señor Bonin y al alcalde Eric Garceri, que ellos apoyan en esto y por favor ayuden, o necesitamos de ustedes como...
So I ask you to support Eric Garceri and Bonnie in the action supporting the tenants.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Catalina Contreras. Mi motivo es de estar aquí por los desalojos injustos.
Good afternoon. My name is Catalina Contreras, and the reason I'm here is for the unjust evictions.
Por los excesos de renta, están aumentando demasiado, y las condiciones de los apartamentos que están muy mal.
And also regarding excessive rent increases, and in addition, on top of that, very poor living conditions within our dwellings. They're terrible.
Por favor, les pido, por favor, que miren por las personas de bajos recursos, no están para pagar renta, muy cara están.
Gracias.
I please ask you to consider and look out for low-income people, because the rents are far too expensive and we need additional support.
Pido una renta justa, por favor.
Sí.
I am requesting and demanding a just rent.
Yes. Yes.
Hola, mi nombre es Rocío Lindero y vivo en la comunidad de Wesley, MacArthur Park.
My name is Rocío Linderos and I live in MacArthur area.
Más del 85% de los inquilinos de Los Ángeles,
more than the 85% of the tenants in LA,
estamos preocupados por el alto costo de vivienda.
We are very worried for the high cost on renting,
ya que gastamos más del 50% de nuestro salario en pagar rentas.
We spend more than 50% on our salaries pay rent.
Y consiguiente a estas alzas de renta, lo que va a pasar que muchas familias nos vamos a ir a la calle junto con nuestros hijos. En este momento,
What happened? We need to go out. The problem is we couldn't afford the rent with our children.
En este momento, o pagamos la renta, el alza de la renta, o comemos.
At this moment, we pay rent or we eat.
Yes, I understand. Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.
Sí, adelante.
Okay. Mi nombre es Evelyn Vidal. Soy voluntaria de un banco de comida.
Good afternoon. My name is Evelyn Vidal. I'm a volunteer at a food bank.
Estoy alarmada de ver el ingreso de gente que está llegando. Antes servíamos 80 familias, ahorita estamos sirviendo más de 250.
And I am absolutely shocked at how many more folks we are attending to. Before we would see about 80 people. Most recently, it's up to 200.
Al día.
Each day.
Porque mucha gente no tiene la capacidad, educación y las están desalojando por las razones equivocadas.
And the reason for that is because many folks lack the education and the funds, and they're being evicted and punished for that.
Necesitamos que los ayuden. Yo los refiero a Inquilinos Unidos, pero ya es muy tarde. Y por eso es que estoy apoyando la ley.
I advise folks, if you're passing through a moment, to reach out to different support. I went to Inquilinos Unidos, but it was far too late at that point.
Thank you. Señor, adelante, por favor.
Buenas tardes, señores concejales. Mi nombre es Humberto Yauli y vengo en representación de los vendedores del sur centro de Los Ángeles.
Hi, my name is Humberto, and I'm here representing the Street Vendors Campaign.
La situación es de todos los vendedores ambulantes del sur centro. Tenemos el problema de que no tenemos un ingreso fijo para pagar una renta.
So all the street vendors have an issue, which is we don't have a steady income. So that's why I'm here.
Así como el caso mío, estoy deshabilitado de la pierna izquierda, me operaron. Hay muchos compañeros que sufren el mismo problema y corren el riesgo de vivir en la calle por los altos costos de la renta.
So on myself, I'm disabled. I have pain in my knee, but I am forced to work and sustain my family. But the high increase of rent is scaring all of us because we are in the same position, not having a decent wage and having to hustle out in the streets to make sure that we pay our rent and keep ourselves from being homeless.
Y nuevamente les pido el apoyo de ustedes, señores concejales, que nos ayuden a las personas de bajos recursos para que no suban las rentas y podamos vivir en un hogar accesible con los precios, señor. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias.
So we're asking for you guys to support in keeping LA House and in helping with the rent relief so we can continue having a home and not be homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Señor.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es José Félix Cabrera.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is José Félix Cabrera.
Vivo en el área de Westlake MacArthur Park, en el 727 de la Coronado.
So I live in 727 Coronado Street in the MacArthur Park area.
Más del 50% de nuestro salario estamos pagando de renta.
More than 50% of our salary we pay on rent.
Mi persona y mi comunidad está viviendo en terribles condiciones.
My person and my community is living in terrible conditions.
Y yo quiero agradecerle a este señor concejal Gil Cedillo que usted se dio cuenta de un problema muy grande del 727 de la Coronado.
I thank you, especially Mr. Cedillo, for you witnessed a big problem in the street.
Afortunadamente su staff fue a ver el problema muy grandísimo que tiene por 4 meses reparando ese apartamento.
So your staff visit the place and see what happened there.
No solamente somos los latinos, él es una persona judío.
It's not only Latino, but it's Jewish people.
Por favor, tomen en cuenta, por favor, apóyennos a la comunidad más pobre que está viviendo en esas condiciones.
Please continue to support the poor people. Thank you.
Las personas que vienen aquí son personas que están viviendo ahorita desalojos.
People who's here are living displacement.
Sí.
Gracias.
De nada, mi equipo está aquí para servirle. Bonjour.
Buenas tardes, concejales. Mi nombre es Margarita López. Yo soy presidenta del Concilio Vecinal MacArthur Park y vengo a representar a mi comunidad de MacArthur Park.
Hello, good afternoon, council members. My name is Margarita. I'm the president of the MacArthur Park Neighborhood Council, and I'm here on behalf and representing many of our community members.
Solamente les pido que por favor hagan viviendas asequibles y que pueda nuestra gente vivir en ellas pagando $26,000 al año, las que ganen $26,000 al año.
My simple ask is that you actually approve and construct buildings for the existing community, a community that makes yearly household income of $26,000.
Porque no pueden pagar $40,000, las personas que ganan $40,000 al año, es imposible que nuestra gente gane esa cantidad.
Because our community is making $26,000, cannot afford a building that would require an income of $40,000.
Sigo creyendo en su trabajo, señor concejal Cedillo. No nos decepcione. Nosotros somos inquilinos que venimos a trabajar.
I continue to believe in your leadership, Councilmember Cedillo. Please do not be deceived.
Creo en su trabajo.
I believe and we require your leadership.
Disappoint, not deceive, disappoint. Sir.
Hi, my name's Walt Centerfeld. I'm a member of the Los Angeles Tenants Union. I'm an Ellis evicted tenant, and I'm a member of the fighting community of Boyle Heights. And we are here because hundreds and even thousands of our members are under eviction orders, have faced eviction, because the rent burden crisis is not just a question of statistics. It's an eviction crisis. It's a displacement crisis. I'll be going to court tomorrow morning with a member of a resident in Councilman Harris Dawson's district who's facing eviction under development at the Exposition Tenants. We know that we're going to have to fight and win many of these battles in the street, like civil rights laws have been fought for over the years. But we need you to come and behind us where we're fighting in the streets to change some of the laws, to give us tools to fight with and protect us. We need you to put forward a motion to put the full effort of the city behind repeal of the Costa Hawkins Act. We need you to also fight for repeal of Ellis, and we need you to fight to strengthen anti-harassment. Thank you.
Thank you. Madame.
My name is Sylvie Shane, and I am also a displaced renter by the Ellis Act and a member of the LA Tenants Union, and I want to follow up my comrade Walt's comments. You've heard all the testimony you need. We are in a crisis. Renters need protections and they need relief. And the two most important actions that you can take immediately is for this committee to lead the way for the entire city council to support the repeal of Costa Hawkins, which allows us to have an important conversation. It doesn't do anything but give us the power to have a conversation about the tools that we need to implement in our communities to protect renters. And the second thing is to pass the Anti-Harassment Ordinance that Councilmember Huizar introduced last year and has been held up in this committee waiting for a report back. We need you to please ask for that report back and pass those protections, because even under rent control, tenants are being given UD after UD, unlawful detainer after unlawful detainer, to try and take their rent-controlled units away. Thank you.
Thank you. Sí.
Mi nombre es Rosalina Hernández. Represento a SAGE y a mi comunidad. Soy del sur centro de Los Ángeles. Vivo en un edificio de bajo control de renta. Me están desalojando. Logré calificar a 1 año de extensión solo por mi niña, que está incapacitada. Mi esposo paga $700 de renta. Si nos mandan una renta de $2,500, no vamos a tener para darles de comer, ropa, escuela, zapatos. Esto es lo que nos están haciendo. Por favor, señor Gil Cedillo, ayúdenos, porque estamos pasando una situación muy difícil. No nada más yo, toda mi comunidad y la gente que vive en el edificio donde vivo yo, ahora, no se mañana. Gracias.
Gracias.
My name is Rosalina Hernandez. I live in a building where many families are being displaced. Right now, I'm paying $700, but if they raise the rents to $2,500, I will have no money to eat. The only reason they have given me an extension, it's because my daughter is disabled. But otherwise, I would be leaving in about a month. So please help us. There's no other way. If you guys don't help us, we're going to be on the streets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hola.
Ya.
Sí.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Rosita López y soy miembro de Inquilinos Unidos y estoy ahorita con el Día del Inquilino, ¿verdad?
Good afternoon. My name is Rosita Lopez, and I'm a member of Inquilinos Unidos, and here really proudly on today, Renters Day.
Y estoy aquí porque, bueno, apoyando todo lo que los compañeros dicen y también porque mañana tengo el juicio del control de renta que me están desalojando y mañana es el juicio, a ver cómo me va, a ver si no voy a andar en la calle o a ver qué va a pasar.
So I'm here today to both support my fellow comrades, compañeros here, and I'm also here because tomorrow I have my trial where they're going to for regarding rent control and my eviction process, and I'll be figuring out what happens tomorrow.
Porque ahorita eso está sucediendo con todos los dueños de los edificios que están tratando de sacarlo a uno para poder aumentar las rentas, y porque yo no he dado motivos, he pagado mi renta a tiempo y me han mandado 2 desalojos ya, que el primero no me pudieron sacar, ahora están con el segundo viendo si me sacan y eso no es posible.
And I'm giving absolutely no reason for them to be able to evict me. However, we're seeing that property owners, not just in my building but throughout LA, are trying to fabricate reasons to get us out. And it's just absolutely unjust and wrong that this is happening.
Ahorita yo pienso, ya me ofrecieron dinero, pero con el dinero que me han ofrecido no me alcanza para pagar la renta un año, y yo teniendo mi récord con tanto reconocimiento de la ciudad, de asambleístas, de concejales, trabajando en la comunidad por 30 años, tengo un récord muy bien y me mandan 2 desalojos y me quieren sacar porque también defiendo he organizado a la gente para que se defiendan, que luchen por sus derechos.
And so basically I have an incredible resume, over 30 years of doing on-the-ground active community building. I'm recognized by council members, by local leaders, and even to me, they're treating me and all my other community members the same way.
Como tengo tanto tiempo, casi 30 años de vivir en ese edificio, ya me conocen y saben que soy una defensora de todos los derechos de los demás y el mío propio. No me dejo para nada, voy a ver si esta vez me pueden sacar, a ver qué es lo que pasa, pero primero Dios que no, porque siempre quiero estar en un récord bueno, porque si no después, ¿quién me va a querer rentar?
Sí, gracias.
So I've been living in the same building for over 30 years, and I'm going to fight with anybody else, for myself and for anyone else in my building and in my community. And I always want to maintain a good and positive relationship with different elected officials, with local leaders, but I cannot sell out my community.
Sí, gracias.
Sí, muchas gracias a ustedes y espero el apoyo de todo el consejo para nuestra comunidad y para mí también, ¿verdad, señor Cedillo?
Sí, no.
Por favor.
Voy a estar contigo mañana.
Usted ya conoce donde yo vivo.
Sí.
Necesito que nos visite allí para que vean de que usted está con nosotros.
Lo sé. Señor.
Muy buenas tardes. Muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Martín Sánchez.
Good afternoon. My name is Martin Sanchez.
Y yo soy miembro de la coalición del inquilino.
I'm part of the coalition, Renters Day Coalition.
Y estoy aquí para mencionarles un problema que probablemente para ustedes sea el menos importante de todos los que han escuchado.
Probably you know it's not important a problem as all the problems you already listened.
Pero para mí y para mi familia es muy importante, ya que igual que algunos de los compañeros que han pasado han manifestado que están siendo desalojados.
For me, it's very important, not just for me, but some of the other community members too.
Y mi familia y yo en este momento estamos siendo desalojados.
My family and me, we are already evicted.
Nosotros estamos pagando $1,500 de renta.
We are paying $1,500 per rent.
Para el mes que viene de mayo, para el día primero, tengo que pagar $2,000.
For May, I have to pay.
Me están subiendo $500 de un solo trancazo.
101.
Yo no puedo pagar esa
I
renta.
cannot pay that amount of rent.
Yo solamente les pido que se pongan la mano en la conciencia y tengan cuidado con la gente que, como nosotros, que no podemos pagar esa renta.
And take in consideration the people who cannot afford these high rents. Thank you.
Y los dueños sin escrúpulos nos están expulsando solamente porque ellos quieren más dinero y nosotros no
So
podemos
the owners
pagar.
want more money and we cannot pay that money.
Es todo, muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. Por fin, ¿cómo te llamas?
Buenas tardes. A mí
Teresa.
me Teresa Altamirano. Yo también estoy siendo desalojada. Ya también me han dado 2 cartas de desalojo. Una también no pudieron. Ahora tengo otro encima.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Teresa Altamirano. I am also just one other tenant that's being evicted. I've already received 2 written notices.
Y ahorita soy víctima del manager que me está hostigando. Llevo 5 meses con las hostigaciones que él me hace.
And in addition to that, I'm the victim of harassment by the manager. It's 5 months and counting in which the manager continues to harass me.
Y él dice que él es el manager, que si me quiero aguantar a lo que él me hace, que esté ahí, sino que me vaya.
And what he tells me is that since he's the manager, I have to stay. If I want to stay, I have to withstand the abuse. And if not, I have to leave.
Yo ya fui a dar parte a la ciudad de Los Ángeles para que me puedan ayudar, y porque yo tengo mis hijos, si son menores de edad, ¿a dónde voy a llegar con ellos?
And so I already consulted Department of Housing. I have 2 young children. I'm thinking if they're trying to evict me, where am I possibly going to take them?
Y a pesar que yo vivo en un edificio que es control de renta,
And I live in a building that does have rent control.
por eso yo le pido al señor Gil Cedillo que vea por nosotros y por lo que estamos pasando todos los inquilinos que somos desalojados de esta gente, de dueños, de manager, que ellos no piensan en nosotros.
And I please urge you,
Los niños más que nada. Gracias.
and I urge above all, Councilmember Gil Cedillo, please look around, listen to our stories, and make change. Yes, for us, senior citizens, but especially for the children. It's not right that we have to live and endure this.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to wax? You want to wax? You want to say something? No, I'm good. You good? Yeah. Ok, gracias a todos por sus presentaciones. Mi colega y yo quiero decir gracias por su tiempo. Fue muy importante a nosotros, pero también nosotros queremos hacer que nosotros quieran, we would like to continue to work, queremos trabajar juntos con ustedes por programas que son justo, ¿no? Efectivos, que sirve a todos, pero él y yo necesitamos su ayuda, porque en las elecciones que ya pasaron, pasan una nueva ley, se llama H-triple, ¿no? HHH, y tenemos $, la capacidad para hacer 10,000 nuevos lugares para vivir, 2,000 por los ellos que trabajan, pero tenemos un problema por nosotros, y tenemos la tierra de la ciudad, muchos como 7,400 propiedades, pero tenemos otros problemas también. Cuando nosotros tenemos una audiencia, como en Lincoln Heights, tenemos 5 lugares para hacer casas por ustedes, con los fondos, personas que saben sus problemas, experiencia, todo. Tenemos audiencias en la comunidad, pero hay personas ahí que no quieren nada. nada por los veteranos, nada por las personas ancianos, nada por los niños. Y es para mí una vergüenza, pero no es de mí, es de las personas que viven por allá. Y cuando nosotros tenemos una audiencia, yo voy a decir a ustedes, yo necesito su ayuda. Yo necesito su tiempo y su presencia en estas audiencias. Porque yo no puedo decir solo a una audiencia como esta audiencia que es necesario, que hay personas que necesitan y que quieran. Y voy a decirlo una vez más, es mi invitación. Cuando nosotros tenemos una audiencia o mi colega tiene una audiencia, yo necesito su presencia. Nosotros estamos juntos con ustedes, pero realmente cuando está en estas audiencias en la comunidad, viene un montón de personas y dice no. Y por favor, voy a decir, nosotros queremos continuar, mover adelante, continuar a trabajar y luchar por eso, pero necesito su apoyo en estas audiencias, porque nosotros quieren. Este es autor de esta ley. Tenemos 1.2 billones de dólares y nosotros queremos usar esos dólares para hacer las casas por ustedes. Él escribe la ley, pero cuando estaba allí en su distrito o mi distrito, hay personas que dicen, no, aquí no. Ellos dicen, es un problema sí, pero aquí no. Se llama NIMBYs, ¿ok? Y necesito su ayuda. Let me say to you that we are happy to take your presentations. We heard you. But I want to say to you before you leave, we are with you. We agree with you. We're impressed and informed by your presentations. But we need your help. We have money. We have a new law. And we have a capacity to build 10,000 units of housing for you as soon as possible. But when we go with city property that we own and want to use that money to build those houses, those communities tell us no. And when we have those hearings, I need you, I will say to you, I'm speaking on my behalf, I need you to join me at those hearings, at those meetings. I need you to be on the same list that they are, telling me that they don't want you. I need you to say, we are decent people, we're honorable people, we're hardworking people, and we need a place to live just like you. So that then we can have the political will and continue to push forward. I will do it anyway, and I'm going to do it anyway, but I need your help to help us move this quicker and faster so this can be done. Please. Okay?
Could I respond to your request?
No. We're done. With this, we have another item which we have to go into closed session. And then we have to start the special meeting. Thank each and every one of you.
Item number 17 is a closed session item.
Item number 17, closed session. We're going to clear the room? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not here on the closed session item that we're hearing next, I need you to step out of the room, please. There will be sufficient room for you to return when your item is going to be heard. All of the home sharing folks, I need you to exit the room.
Item number 17 is a closed session item. The city attorney report relative to potential settlement with City Mortgage, Inc. of past due registration fees and penalties under the city's foreclosure registry program.
This committee may recess to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 to confer with its legal counsel relative to this matter.
Time cap.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Well, look.
I know.
Well, make that clear, because he's got to go, and they're not going to get, this is not going to move. I will make it clear. Who? Well, talk to him. This deal is cooked. T-shirts showed up anyway, they don't care. We have to hear from Antonia.
You already got her.
Huh?
You already got her. Multiple items.
Bring it away, man. Suits, the lawyers, the... Oh my Lord. Starting another meeting? Are we ending and then starting? What are we doing?
Action that you want to take in closed session. Then we can go straight to the special meeting.
Item?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is my assistant? What's her name is here? She doesn't work for the mayor anymore, huh? Is that my binder? Sorry, is that my binder?
So we're gonna close out this meeting.
Right.
Get a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we're coming out of a closed session. We want to consider the city attorney's recommendation.
Approve the city adopted.
Yeah, we want to adopt the city attorney's objection, or we want to adopt the city attorney's recommendation for the record. We have a second on my motion. That is the order of the day. Thank you. We have a next item. Motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved. Move forward. We're going to open up this very specific item for this special meeting. Go ahead.
Item number 1 is a city department planning reports and related California Environmental Quality Act findings, negative declaration and ordinance amending the Los Angeles Municipal Code and the Los Angeles Administrative Code to impose regulations permitting the sharing of primary residences except units regulated by the Rent Stabilization Ordinance and directing transit occupancy taxes derived from home sharing to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and a new short-term rental enforcement trust fund in response to motion Bon and Wesson Koretz relative to policy governing short-term rentals in the city of Los Angeles. This item, Mr. Chair, has also been referred to the Plum Committee.
This is a meeting that can either last about 15 minutes or it can last 5 hours. My understanding is you guys have already had the 5-hour meeting and many voices have been heard. So we would like and prefer to have the more efficient and effective meeting. My colleague, one of my colleagues could not participate today, and my colleague is on a time limit, so we have to go forward with the shorter meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You're correct. I have to depart in about 15 or 20 minutes. So many of you I've heard a handful of times in the Planning and Land Use Management Committee on this matter. So hopefully we can get to a vote in time enough for me to participate in such a vote.
Can we have, who's coming up to report? Housing and planning? Planning, can we have planning come up and report?
Good afternoon. Arthi Varma, Department of City Planning. The item before you is the proposed home sharing ordinance, which is aimed at regulating short-term rentals in the city of Los Angeles. The goal of the regulations are to minimize the loss of housing stock to the city's long-term renters and to minimize the impacts to residential neighborhoods. At the same time, the ordinance balances opportunities for primary residents to share their home with guests in a responsible manner. The proposed ordinance puts a cap on the number of nights that hosts can engage in the short-term rentals and requires that hosts only rent out their primary residence. The ordinance also prohibits short-term rentals in rent-stabilized units and requires certain responsibilities of hosts, such as prohibiting commercial events and paying TOT. 2 weeks ago, the Plum Committee considered a report back that the Planning Department prepared on a number of items related to the home sharing ordinance. Most importantly, creating a request of the committee to create a framework to go above the citywide cap. The Plum Committee directed staff to on a number of items, and I will list them briefly right now. The first and foremost was to reduce the citywide cap to 120 days. Also, to create an administrative clearance process to go above the 120-day cap. The process would include neighborhood notification, not consent, would require the host to have a home sharing permit for at least 6 months before they applied for the extended home sharing permit, to have a two-strike policy of verified nuisance citations, after which the host would not be permitted to engage in short-term rentals for the remainder of the year. If properties are not eligible to meet the administrative clearance, a discretionary process would be available, would be similar to a CUP with a director's determination in this case, an optional public hearing, and with tailored findings related to the home sharing policy considerations. The Plum Committee also directed for an allowance of an annual renewal for all home sharing permits to allow landlords to opt out of allowing their tenants to engage in home sharing, to include a per-night fee to help offset the cost of enforcement and compliance. The committee also included a number of enforcement enhancements, including a 24-hour, 7 days a week staffed hotline to receive complaints, real-time outreach to hosts to resolve issues, web-based registration and renewal process, also establishing a task force of coordination between different city agencies to ensure appropriate enforcement. The Plum Committee also directed staff to include regulations for the platforms, which include actively removing listings that violate the home sharing ordinance, designating an employee or representative to respond to enforcement issues and to coordinate sharing of information, providing the city in electronic format relevant information needed for the city to conduct enforcement and to abide by the TOT regulations. The committee also directed that 10% of the TOT be used for general city neighborhood improvements and community benefits, that all citations must be cleared before allowing registration for home sharing, that information is provided to neighbors on how to register a complaint if they have one, and that the Los Angeles Fire Department be specifically included as one of the departments of the enforcement agency. The next steps after receiving direction today from committee will be to go to full council for direction, at which time the ordinance would be revised, sent back to the City Planning Commission, and then again would move forward to city council committees and full council. Staff's available for questions.
So there's 3 more steps. Yes.
Deputy City Attorney Amy Brothers, I just want to echo what Arthi has just mentioned and say what's before this committee today is whether or not you all are in agreement with the Plum recommendations.
Okay. Okay, give me the list for public comment. So we're going to have limited public comment from Karen Alcafor, excuse me. I have a doctor with me. Victoria Brown, Cynthia Strathern, and Wayne and Puppet. Yes. Wayne, can we hear from you? Are you ready?
Oh, well, they called the ladies first. I think they should. Shouldn't they go first?
I'm ready for you.
Really? Okay, good. Yes, so we signed up earlier, but we had to go to the back of the bus to sign up. So here we are recommending staff to do what? And there are 3 steps that we have to do. Number 1, we have to find a place to move outside the city of Los Angeles. Number 2, we need to get a real estate broker to sell the home we have now. And number 3, once we get the fuck out of LA, we stay out of LA. That's right, see? And we all know the truth. This place is a gulag. It's a jail.
It's off topic.
It's a concentration camp of poverty, yes. And you people don't want people to rent. You don't want them to make money. You want slaves. So you have the slaves. Look at all of us here. Please, Mr. Marchese Harris Dawson, emancipate us modern slaves. Thank you.
Karen?
Yes, thank you. I live at the Hespy in North Hollywood, and my rent is $5,200 a month for a 3-bedroom, and my landlord hosts Airbnb tenants. We have had Airbnb tenants bring in prostitutes, drugs. On a good day, they park in my parking space, which is assigned to me. On a bad day, there's been stabbings in the swimming pool. So they've brought in pit bulls, which are against our lease. They smoke pot. They throw fecal matter off the balconies to lower balconies. They have parties nonstop. And yet I'm told I'm not allowed to complain about this because it's my landlord renting to them. So what I'm asking is that you put a cap on this and put some kind of guidelines for when it's my landlord renting to Airbnb tenants. So if you could put a cap, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Victoria Brown?
My name is Victoria Brown, and I'm a 67-year resident of the 8th District, where I'm a member of the Empowerment Congress Central Neighborhood Council and the LAPD 77 Community Police Advisory Board. In Los Angeles, I am a renter of a home that, although I have lived in for 3 decades, not under rent control. In the past 2 years, my rent has increased from $1,300 to $2,100. The issue of affordable housing is personal to me, as I have a disabled son on a fixed income that simply cannot afford the rent. The rental market, even the most humble independent living arrangements, even after the passing of HHH, my community suffers from mass homelessness. It is clear we do not have enough affordable housing, and I ask that my City Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson take a strong position in this ordinance to protect renters like me by, 1, regulating companies like Airbnb that take advantage of the vulnerable housing stock in our community by giving commercial investors the platform to avoid renting to the community in favor of high-priced hotel-like nightly stays for tourists. 3, increase low-income housing for disabled people.
Thank you. Cynthia?
Hi, I'm Cynthia Strathman. I'm with SAGE. We're a housing rights and tenant rights organization. And SAGE, along with a dozen other organizations in LA that serve low-income tenants, including Kiwa, Trust South LA, and others, and also health organizations like St. John's Well Child and Family Center, we all support regulation of the short-term rental industry, particularly the exclusion of RSO units from that market. It's very important that we keep what naturally occurring affordable housing we have in the city available for tenants. Many of our members are crowded into some of the most overcrowded housing in the country. I know there's been some concern that low-income renters should maybe be able to rent part of their houses, but in really overcrowded housing, you do not have a spare room to rent out on Airbnb. So we would really urge you to take up these regulations. I think it's important that we keep our housing as affordable as we possibly can by making sure it stays housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacob Burstock, Heather Santora, and Wendy D. Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Jacob Binstock, and I have a 5-unit building. I live in one of the buildings, one of the apartment units. Have 7 children and my wife, and we have 2 empty units that we host B&B. We do a lot of people from our community. On Shabbat is like a day where you're not allowed to drive, and there's no hotels close by. So let's say somebody's on a wheelchair. They stay by us and they go across the street to the synagogue. So I think we also do a service to the community, and we live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of Jewish people that are religious, and they can't take Ubers or taxis to hotels which are about a half a mile away. So we offer this service, and I urge you to not to limit anything, or to let us continue, because this really helps us to pay our rent. And we have 2 tenants that been with us for a long time, and we don't tend to evict them, and they pay the rent on time, and all this helps to make our ends meet. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Heather?
Hi. Thank you for allowing me to share. I have lived in Los Angeles for 11 years, and during that time, I have often felt the pinch of a lack of affordable housing. After escaping an abusive relationship, me and my 2 sons moved 3 times in 4 years due to the high rental prices here in LA. Finally, we were able to settle into a home and afford to stay because of our Airbnb rental of the back house. It is a 1-bedroom that we would not rent out to long-term tenants because of a nightmare tenant that we had before. I will just spare you the details of that. So in our case, Airbnb isn't taking affordable housing off of the market. It's actually allowing my family to stay in our house. It's also important to note that I rent. There's no way that I could afford to buy in this city as a single mom. So I think that the takeaway that I want you to know is that to allow people to rent their primary or back house residences, I rent 350 days a year. I need that in order to stay in our home and not be housing unstable again. And to take that TOT money and put it towards truly affordable housing and helping the homeless, because I agree we do have an epidemic. I bet on the verge of it.
Yeah, Wendy D.
Good afternoon. We purchased our home in District 1. We currently help house 2 family members, and we are able to do so at a much lower rent than we normally would because we live there and because we also do a short-term basis rental on the other parts of our house. I vet every single guest prior to their arrival, and I ensure that they agree to our extensive house rules. We personally, as a family, check in every single guest that has ever walked through our doors. We provide on-site parking and in order to minimize our hosting footprint. Our guests are family members such as grandparents, aunts, uncles, parents coming to visit their adult children sometimes who specifically pick our home because, like the gentleman here, they can actually walk or take a 5-minute drive to go visit their grandchild. We also get scholars who come and present at local institutions. So we also get families who are here to transition and want to see, Los Angeles is a huge area and they want to see different little nooks to see where they'll fit best. So we hope that you will continue to allow us to host unlimited and allow home-based businesses to also do that while home sharing. Thank you.
Yes. Can we read this? Okay, let me offer as a recommendation, Mr. Harris-Dawson. I'm going to put forth to address the separate topic of the regulation of vacation rentals. We direct the Department of City Planning to prepare a separate standalone ordinance that would authorize and regulate vacation rentals. This standalone ordinance will remain in the Housing Committee until we receive a report back from the Department of City Planning. The proposed ordinance shall receive a new council file number. Yeah,
I concur with the chair's recommendation.
okay. That's good. And now we just, this goes
Henry, where's this going next? Council? So, Mr. Chair, my understanding is that this item will go from this committee to the full council, where this report will be reconciled with the Plum Committee's report. Then they will merge the two reports, and that report will be sent to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission will then do what it wants with the report and send it back to the Plum Committee. Is it?
Deputy City Attorney
Counsel,
Amy
yes.
Brothers, as I had mentioned, the committee was here today to make a determination as to whether or not it agrees with the Plum Committee recommendations that were made just a couple of weeks ago, in which Arthi Varma just described. And of course, your council member has just made the motion to have a separate standalone ordinance that would remain here and would be separate from the home sharing ordinance.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, yes.
right. So we're approving the Plum report, and then we're making the specific instruction.
Yes.
Correct.
And the ordinance will remain in committee until departments come back and report on it.
Okay. And that is the new ordinance.
That is the new ordinance.
Correct.
On the separate vacation rental.
You have the reports.
Yes.
Arthi Varma, Department of City Planning. The ordinance in front of you today is a proposed home sharing ordinance that requires primary residency. That would be the ordinance in front of you. I understand the motion for movement on the vacation rental piece would be a separate ordinance.
Yes, it's a separate ordinance. We're concurring with the Plum Committee's recommendation.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, the additional instruction from the Housing Committee that was just announced right now is for an ordinance that does not exist, correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay, so at this point, if the Housing Committee would like to concur with the Plum report recommendations with addition to an additional request to, that refers to the proposed new ordinance, this whole matter can go to council. In the council agenda, there will be the Plum recommendations without the additional recommendation, and there will also be a recommendation from the Housing Committee that concurs with the Plum recommendations in addition with this current instruction.
Right. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to move it forward, but we wanted to the separate, but to remain concurrent with the whole proposal.
So in essence, it will be an A and B report.
Yes.
All right. And so when this new ordinance comes in, that is something different that is not before the council at this time, correct? Okay, because it doesn't exist at this time.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. Clear as mud.
Is it?
Yes.
Just make sure. Just a moment.
Go ahead. Leaves here, goes to the floor, goes to planning. That one comes here. We send it. Leaves planning. They get connected. I think so.
done this closed session.
This will go, the main body goes to the floor, to planning, back to the floor. This goes to, right, so it goes to planning, back to us, and they're together. That's what they want to do. Oh.
New orders. It will be different. And we'll do it later.
So, before we vote, let me be clear. Council member, we're going to send the body,
The home sharing.
right, the home sharing body, the report from Plum will go to the floor, we'll go back to the commission, and then come back to the floor. This recommendation, the part B of this, will be sent to planning for a report back to us, and then we will, satisfied with it, send it to the floor. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Got it? Got it. Okay.
Madam Clerk, is that, are we okay?
So the second recommendation, the additional instruction is merely a report back.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So be the order?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. You get a motion to, does that conclude our business?
Yeah. And you're adjourning after the
Yes,
special?
yes.
Okay.
So be the order? Motion is passed. The motion to adjourn is offered and received. This meeting is concluded. Thank you very much. What do I have?